Okay, it's going now.
All right. Let's change the world. God, it seems like it's been so long since we got together. I know it's been over a month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, hell, lost track. I think we had a case of COVID in there, some summertime activities that kind of impacted our schedule, but we're back to it now.
Monkeypox.
Monkeypox, suspected case of monkeypox. Do you want to talk about the monkeypox, Shane?
No, I don't want to.
I thought you had the information about patient zero, but
I did, but I don't want to.
so, one of the most recent things that came out lately, of course, is the student loan forgiveness program that Biden just signed through a presidential order. What was that, a day? Was that yesterday or was it the day before? I kind of lose track, but
That's
some of
earlier
the
this week.
details earlier this week. Some of the details coming out is $10,000 of forgiveness, and I think there's some limitations on how much you make per year or whether you qualify for that. 125,000, I believe,
Yeah,
for a single, or 250 for a couple. Where
And
the
more if you had a Pell Grant.
oh,
yeah.
that's
you
true.
get
I just saw that today.
20,000. Yeah, you get 20,000.
So it can be forgiven at a higher rate if you had Pell Grant. So we're kind of thinking about the timing of this. Very interesting that Biden promises back before the election, before he got in as president, and yet it took him all the way to this month to actually sign this in. I mean, he didn't, the way he signed it, he didn't need any special vote through Congress or through the House or anything like that, he decided to do it through a presidential order. And so why time? Why did he time it now? Is it because the election's coming up and they want to score some political points? I have a feeling that's probably the case. Shane, I know you were talking earlier about maybe the fairness of this or how it can tend to rub certain individuals the wrong way. Individuals that went through college or maybe decided to go through the workforce in a different path than just going to get student loans.
Do you recall when Elizabeth Warren was making the same claim during her presidential campaign? And the gentleman came and asked her, he said, well, I've already paid for my daughter's student loans. Do I get that money back? Of course, it was a resounding no. So,
Yeah.
you know, those of you who already paid or never got them, kind of going to pay for everybody else.
Yeah. So the people that went through, let's say a person that went through and got the loan, went to 4 years of school, paid their loans back, kind of how it was supposed to be handled. They did it the right way, and yet they're the ones that are going to see the short end of the stick. They're going to be screwed. Or the people that decided, I can't take loans out and don't want to go to college, so I want to go out into the workforce and work my way through that. If they would have known that their loans would have been forgiven at $10,000 or $20,000 clip, they would have easily gone into school and gotten those loans. So, it's hard to go back and, make that an equal situation where people made decisions based on the thought that they would have to repay these loans. So if you have loans out right now, if you're a student and you have loans out right now, I would jump at this as fast as I possibly could to get my loans forgiven.
Right.
There's been talk, I've heard, that this may not even be legal the way Biden went about this.
Right.
He signed this under the premise that we're having the COVID emergency. So it kind of has to be in an emergency act. But if this gets sent to the courts for the legality of this, it may get turned over or overturned.
Right.
So just the fact that he signed it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to go through. Go ahead, Shane.
I was going to say, maybe they have to do this because let's be honest, they've been putting out so many useless degrees lately. There are so many useless majors that, let's say you've got, at a university, 40 gender studies majors. They all graduate. They all even get to their master's degree, their PhD. How much job availability is there? It reminds me when I used to bartend and wait tables, how many bachelor's degrees and master's degrees holders I used to work with. Because, you got a master's in history and you're like, yeah, great, you can bartend at Chili's. There's only so many jobs for,
Yeah,
and
true.
I'm not kidding. I literally there were times I felt like I was the most undereducated person, which typically I was, but when you're working with so many bachelor's degrees and master's degrees, at a country club and you're bartending, So
Did you say a master's in mystery?
master's and bachelor's,
Ah,
or a master's in mystery would be pretty cool.
yeah,
though.
that,
I would probably like something like that.
so the timing is a little bit suspect in my mind, but the logic behind, we're at record inflation and they're gonna go and spend, I think the estimates have been over $500 billion
Yeah,
to wipe out all this debt. And it's all the taxpayers that have to fit the bill for that. It's not like it's a magic eraser where it just gets wiped off of a board and nobody has to pay the tab. It's all the taxpayers that have to do that. So the logic or the intelligence of putting in an extra $500 billion into this economy that's already super inflated, I don't know, I would say less than logical. There's even been Democrats on that side of the aisle that have questioned whether this is a good thing or not.
Are you having issues, Connie?
Connie might be having issues with
Yeah.
his headphones.
And it's like it's a haircut. He's like Samson.
So yeah, we could probably talk about the
What is
haircut
electronic?
because he's very famous for his long hair, and now that's been taken out. I don't know why he did that. We never did get into that topic. Maybe we should ask him when he gets back.
I'm also curious why he has his full name.
Really?
He's gonna chat something.
Uh,
He doesn't know we're making fun of.
oh, he'd probably hear us. He just can't talk back.
Wink twice if you can hear us.
There
Hi,
you
can.
go.
Very good. Hey, Connie, if you click on your right next to your mute button, there's an up arrow. Do you see a microphone listing there?
What about now? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay,
I can hear you.
cool.
It's very strange, but I can hear you.
Yeah, it's through my camera actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so we were off on the topic of why you cut your hair. So
I don't know. Just I was getting tired of. Oh, and my oldest son got married, and so it was wedding pictures and stuff, and I saw myself in the wedding pictures, and I was like, man, my hair looks stupid. So I decided to cut it.
I think we've been trying to tell you that for years.
No, yeah, everyone has. So I finally saw it for myself.
I was jealous.
Sorry, Shane.
I should have saved it for
Yeah, that's probably
Yeah,
what
I
you should have done.
Glued a patch on here.
you. Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Donate some locks to Shane.
Right.
So,
All right. We got a little sidetracked. So are we
yeah, anything else on the student loan forgiveness? I mean, like I said, I think if you've got a student loan, jump at the chance. I don't know if it's legal the way Biden did it. I don't know if it's actually going to go through, but keep in mind that everybody else is paying for a small percentage of people that took out loans. And in a time of high inflation, I don't know if it's the best move.
even if it is illegal, what can they do? I mean, they're gonna make people pay it back. You know?
Oh, yeah, it is, yeah, from what I get too, I mean, and it's all federal, so it all goes on us, and so we're just gonna jack up our debt to 30 trillion, 31 trillion. I mean, you might as well just max it, and I think that's another thing they're thinking, they're like, well, who cares, we'll just start maxing stuff out, because we're gonna default.
Drop in the bucket.
Yeah, so we don't care, and so it looks good for us, so yeah, let's jack it up. I'm surprised they didn't do more, actually.
Well, thinking about it this way, because I have a student that's coming up in the house that might be looking to get um, student loans, grants, things like that. What happens to the people that are gonna apply for these loans tomorrow, next week, next month? Do they, if I was somebody going in at that point, I would assume that at some point my loan is gonna get forgiven, so it might even exacerbate the problem of people
Right.
signing up for these loans they can't pay back, because now they're gonna assume that this handout's coming down the road, oh, in another year, my loan's gonna get paid off, so let's
Yeah.
max it up to 30, 40,000. I need a
And that's just-
master's in mystery.
It can be, it can be a slippery slope. I mean, if you think
Right.
about it, how they started, lowering the interest rates. Till the interest rates, they ended up with negative interest rates. Eventually, I mean, are they gonna keep chopping at these loans? I mean, and then what's next? Is it your mortgage? Is it your car payment?
Right. It'll just, the system will break, basically.
Yeah.
And they know it. That's why they're doing it. And they want it to break.
Yeah, that goes back to, was it Cliff or was it maybe it was Jay Snip that was talking about this, where they could envision a time where they do start going back and forgiving loans. That he was saying maybe it's not a best thing to pay off your mortgage or pay off your car or things like that, because once the economy just goes to shit and they start wiping these debts off the books, the people that actually paid their car loans or actually paid their houses off are the ones that are going to be, out, not out in the cold, but they're going to hit the short end of the stick, where these other people that went through and have done nothing and then they get the free ride. So I don't know. I wouldn't encourage anybody not to pay their loans,
I
because
think
you might get stuck on the other side of that, but
it'll all depend on who gets power or what system we end up in. If it's like our current bad government and they are still in power, they'll just roll all that over to like a digital currency, and they'll eat all that from the banks. They'll eat all that debt and they'll turn it into like a centralized digital currency, and then you'll just still owe it, but then they'll have the power now to really crunch you and to control you, and you'll be basically a debt slave. If that's
Nope.
who's running the system, but hopefully they're not. Hopefully they aren't there, and it just collapses. And like you said, that all debt's forgiven. I mean, who should you give it to? Corrupt banks or back to the people?
I think that's what they're gonna do. Is I think they're gonna forgive all debt, but I thought that was their plan with that great reset. I'm talking
Yeah.
about where the great reset happens, everybody's debt forgiven, but they have to go on this credit system. They have to,
Yeah.
you create enough stress and fear so that people are like, save us, save us, save us.
That
And like, okay, we'll save you. We got this system that we've got ready. It's in place. We can implement it quick. You've got about 3 weeks of hell, and then we're going to have this in place, and then we're going to save you, and we're going to be the saviors. We're going to live in like China. You're going to have a social credit score. You just can't say
Yeah.
anything wrong.
Did you see that they had a video out just today where there's like a bunch of people in a mall and they're all sprinting out of this business because one of the people had COVID. So they know they're all going to have to get tested again. And if they get so they're like freaked out. So they're literally sprinting for their lives out of this place so they don't get tested, so they don't get put back in this shit system. And I'm like, oh my God, that is horrible. I mean, that could very well be our future.
Was that in China?
Yeah.
yeah.
You look on Twitter today that they have it all over.
Yeah, in China, I think they're still talking about zero COVID is their goal over there. They've
Yeah.
got testing stations all over the place where
Right,
you have to go in and get tested 2-3 times a week
right.
just to function in society. And I guess at one point there was some graffiti or spray paint on several of these testing centers, which I don't think you find very often in China, because
Right.
you get caught doing that kind of shit at your head or your neck, literally.
Yeah.
But it was obviously displaying some negative feelings about the lockdowns and the testing. So I don't know, you even start seeing some of that stuff coming out of China, because they probably suppress 90% or more of the information that they don't like. So if you're seeing that, just think of all the stuff that you're not seeing. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, and if I'm correct, in China, they also track your phone. So if you had COVID and I was within 6 feet of
Right.
you,
Right.
then I'd automatically get tagged. And
Yeah.
then, it's almost like that Prel commercial where you tell two friends, you tell two friends. Yeah,
It's exactly like Pro.
right.
Kind of ironic you're talking about Pro, but yes,
I know, right?
people who don't know, that's a shampoo from like, geez, 1940s. I don't even know how long back it was. Seems like that long ago. So one of the other, just to switch gears here, one of the other politics related items that came out was the Liz Cheney. She was recently defeated in, correct me if I'm wrong, it was Wyoming, I believe.
Yeah.
She was the incumbent there, but the Republican incumbent, but she had come out against Donald Trump, and she has been making some famous waves for herself by kind of siding with the Democrats, especially in this January 6th committee
Right.
that they put together. So she kind of made a political enemy of herself in Trump's eyes, and even came out and I think at one point told him to bring it, because they were kind of
Right.
having words back and forth and in Twitter possibly, and she said, yeah, go ahead and bring it. So in essence, what did Trump do? He went and backed the other candidate. And I don't have the name of that candidate with me, but it was the other Republican candidate running. And I would say Liz Cheney got soundly defeated, and that's probably putting it nicely. I believe she lost by almost 40% of the vote, which is unheard of for an incumbent Republican, especially in that state. So I think she took a stand as far as Trump, and took a stand specifically on one side of the January 6th situation. And I think the voters pretty much voiced their opinion. I'm trying to think of a nice way to say it, but yes. So I'm not sure what kind of future Liz Cheney has political wise. Did you guys see the speech? She came out and compared herself to Abraham Lincoln.
I heard about it.
And she was going back to like the Civil War generals, and I've been defeated, but I'm not dead, and I'm going to come back stronger. And I think at even one point she said she was going to put her hat in the ring for president.
Right.
Yeah, I think she even compared herself to one of the Jesus's apostles.
I don't know if that's a joke or not, but I can believe that she probably tried.
I was saying Judas. I was trying to be funny. Didn't quite work out.
No, see, if I
What?
were listening to your whole joke, that would have been funny. Judas is
On
awesome.
another note, they had people have been talking about so far. Trump has taken out 4 family dynasties: the McCain family, the Clintons, the McCain, Clintons,
Bush.
Bush, and
Cheney's.
Cheney's. Yep,
Yep.
that's 4 of them. No more in politics. But now Cheney's daughter now is also starting to work with the Democrats. So she's
Yeah.
starting to campaign for Democrats now.
So I wonder when she goes and puts her hat in the ring for president, is she going to run as a Democrat now, or is she still claiming to be a Republican? That's going to be an interesting twist. I mean,
Yeah.
as far as I know, she's been a Republican for as long as she's been into politics, but I think she signed her own death warrant for the short term being next several years.
Well, I'm sure her dad or her family pushed her into that thinking, or to do that. I'm sure that wasn't all on her own. Because like you said, it's not a smart move politically. Because maybe they maybe they're desperate and they're like, hey, we got to try and sway everyone this other direction. Hey, we're going to sacrifice you. Can you get people over to this other side or think this other way? But yeah, obviously she got murdered and tattooed, so it didn't work.
Yeah, I think they definitely thought that was going to go down a little differently than it did, because she's
Yeah.
such a big name, and
Right.
they had such a great political family. And so I think they were banking on that carrying a lot more weight than it really did.
Well, it also makes you think about Dick Cheney when he shot that gentleman in the face in the hunting accident.
Yeah, the hunting
Yeah.
trip. Yeah, I forgot
Yeah.
about that.
I mean, was that really an accident?
So who was that?
Well, he
That he
didn't
shot?
die though.
No, who was that he shot?
I believe it was a lawyer. He shot him, I believe, in the face with bird shot.
Right.
And then he lived and
Well, shooting a lawyer in the face, that's probably okay.
I think it's legally. Might be
Yeah.
in Washington, at least where they hunt.
That's what they're hunting for. It's probably what he was trying to shoot.
Yeah, the most dangerous game. As a matter of fact, it's funny you mentioned that because there's a lady who mentions Dick Cheney as being part of hunting, like hunting her and using dogs and stuff in the most dangerous game, and saying that she was sexually assaulted, and I can't remember her name. It was like Virginia or something. Virginia, was it? I can't remember. Arizona Wilder. I can't.
Was it a
Yeah.
gun club Cheney was in when he was doing this?
I believe so. Yeah.
A secret gun club?
Yeah. The Secret
Yeah.
Gun Club.
Yeah, well, they're sketchy.
You
Yeah,
wear a
you gotta
hood.
watch out for that.
You wear a hood, yeah. And you have to swallow. That's the sad part.
And they make you pay money to get in, right?
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. I think I saw that on one of those Tom Cruise movies. What was that? And he was on
Eyes
it with
Wide-
the, that's the one.
That's
Yeah.
the one.
That movie scared me.
And that's like a whole nother conversation on its own. Once you start getting into Eyes Wide Shut,
oh,
The
yeah.
Shining, and that director and all that. That's
Kubrick,
something
yeah.
we say for another day.
Stanley Kubrick. Yeah.
Then he directed the moon launch or whatever, or made the
Yeah.
moon launch.
All right. Now let's see. That's Liz Cheney. Oh, we'll
Hi,
see
Liz.
where she goes. I've seen a lot of memes created about her, going bye bye bye.
Yeah.
Is that an NSYNC song? Yeah, I don't know. I'll be curious to see how she tries to revive her career, but all right, boys, let's close
It'll
on
be on
that
The View.
topic. It will be on The View.
All right.
We're gonna close right here and we'll pick it up next time.
All right. Later, guys.
All right.
Sounds good.
Bye, guys.
Please.